Tonight, what charges the man accused of stealing a plane and grounding flights faces after his first court appearance in BC.
We do have an aircraft that has been hijacked.
Clues about possible motive in dramatic air traffic control audio.
We have an incident right above our airspace here.
And the military reinforcements the U.S. scrambled into action. Canada forges ahead with a new game plan to protect the steel industry.
To advance, not retreat.
The Prime Minister's message to foreign suppliers. And NHL off-season saber rattling.
There's nothing plain about Ottawa. I'm tired of that saying.
The off-ice flavor feud that's getting spicy.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. We begin with developing news on that brazen plane theft in British Columbia. The suspect accused of stealing it has been charged with hijacking and terrorism offenses. CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson with new details on the scramble to deal with the incident and what critical audio is revealing.
Guns drawn, RCMP on the runway at Vancouver International Airport arrests the man suspected of stealing a small plane from Victoria, ending a dramatic and dangerous flight. The Cessna 172 had been circling YVR at low altitude. No one knew what could happen next.
We do have an aircraft that has been hijacked. Is in the vicinity of the airport.
Flights in and out of YVR were grounded for close to 40 minutes, and air traffic controllers worked to send incoming planes somewhere else, including a WestJet flight from Regina.
WestJet 389 will get you going towards Victoria then. You will be going to your alternate today.
Vancouver's first line of duty is to protect any other aircraft coming into the field, which they did. They diverted 9 flights as far away as Calgary and Seattle.
Norad has confirmed it scrambled American fighter jets that were on their way to the Vancouver airport, while Canadian CF-18 Hornets were also in the process of responding. But minutes later, the fighters were turned back after the small Cessna landed at YVR and the pilot was arrested on the runway.
It was quite an orderly process. The aircraft landed, RCMP responded, the lone occupant was taken into custody.
This all started at a Victoria flight school Tuesday afternoon, where sources say a man had booked a tour in one of these Cessnas. Sometime before takeoff, the man threatened the pilot with a knife. The pilot managed to escape the plane, and the attacker then took off alone, heading for YVR, leaving the flight school today in shock.
Completely out of the blue. As far as I'm aware, it never happened anywhere in Canada either.
As for a potential motive here, the man piloting the plane indicated to air traffic control his plan was to shut down the airspace for hours to bring attention to the climate crisis. Omar.
All right, Andrew, thank you. Police in Ontario have arrested a 29-year-old man linked to the death threat directed at the mayor of one of Canada's largest cities and his family.
I was told to leave my position, leave Brampton. Otherwise, my wife, my son, and myself would be killed. The fact that my family can sleep a little bit easier tonight is good news.
Police say the threat was made through email last month and believe the suspect from Brampton acted alone. The city's mayor, Patrick Brown, was provided round-the-clock protection during the investigation. The RCMP says the intensive investigation into the disappearance of 2 young children in Nova Scotia is still underway as they review around 5,000 video files.
A tremendous amount of careful, deliberate investigative work is underway.
6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan were reported missing on May 2nd, and there has been no sign of them since. Police say they're assessing more than 600 tips and examining evidence found during the search, including a pink blanket. The Prime Minister revealed new measures today to help boost Canada's steel industry, which has been battered in the wake of Donald Trump's punishing tariffs. And as the U.S. targets Canada, CTV's Heather Wright tells us who Canada is now targeting.
This Hamilton, Ontario steel fabricator has been in business for 70 years and had been sending nearly 70% of its products south of the border. Now that number is close to zero.
This is Steel Town for a reason.
Today, the Prime Minister was in Hamilton announcing measures to help Canada's steel industry. By the end of the month, Ottawa will tighten the quota for steel coming from countries without a free trade agreement like China and Turkey to half of 2024 levels. Anything beyond that will face a tariff of 50%. This measure is aimed at reducing foreign steel that has flooded the Canadian market, much of it diverted here after the United States imposed tariffs on the global steel industry in March. And with Canadian steel producers effectively shut out of the U.S., Mark Carney says this will help them sell their products domestically.
For Canada to build big things fast, we need our steel industry to advance, not retreat.
As Canada embarks on massive infrastructure spending, the Prime Minister also announced that any companies bidding on government projects will have to use Canadian steel.
We will change the federal government's procurement process to require companies contracting with the federal government to source Canadian steel for government contracts.
The tightened quota and increased support for laid-off workers announced today come after the steel industry said measures announced last month didn't go far enough.
We got things going on south of the border. We can't control all of that. But what we can control is here in Canada. Let's make Canada the best.
Asked about ongoing trade negotiations with the United States, the Prime Minister would not say what level of tariffs Canada would accept, nor would he say whether Canada would impose additional retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. He said both were good questions, but said answering them in the midst of trade talks would be a bad response. Heather Wright, CTV News, Hamilton, Ontario.
Also taking a hit from Trump's tariffs, the auto sector. And as CTV's Adrian Gobriel reports, we are now getting a sense of the impact on consumers and whether government supports are actually helping.
This is basically your American stuff here.
Walking his warehouse floor, manager Moshe Bouillon points out the harsh reality facing Canadian consumers.
We're selling it for like 40% more just because it's cost so much to get.
Tariffs are taking their toll.
This aftermarket brake pad made in China costs about $20 to $30. Same part, made in America, now runs $80.
High W40 engine oil?
The struggle to find new suppliers outside of the U.S. has also left shelves bare with little product to sell.
We've been spending so much time contacting new suppliers, trying to think outside the box to make prices lower for the average person. And we just can't go to these American manufacturers anymore.
The Canadian Federation of Independent Business surveyed 187 small to medium-sized automotive companies and found that revenues have declined by an average of 13% since the trade war began.
I think we're suffering the most because we're not making huge profits already.
The CFIB claims the provincial programs set up to help the auto sector in Ontario have provided little assistance to small and medium-sized auto parts businesses.
No one wants to invest in their business when they don't know what's going to go on in the future, right? It's why we're seeing, paused hiring, paused investment, and revenue losses. And so that's why we need the government to create that certainty.
Finding an off-ramp from the U.S. tariffs has been a challenge. With an August 1st deadline for a trade deal looming, those negotiating on Canada's behalf are trying to leverage our long-standing relationship and natural resources.
Copper, lithium, graphite. We do have better leverage than others, but again, it's like dealing with the mob bus right now. It's the law doesn't matter, leverage does.
There are some replacement parts made for the big auto manufacturers, which are CUSMA compliant, meaning no tariff, though many of these aftermarket items made for used cars are slapped with a 25% counter tariff by the Canadian government. Omar.
All right, Adrian, thank you. There is new hope of delivering a deal as unionized workers get ready to vote on Canada Post's final offer starting Monday. Stalled negotiations between the Crown Corporation and 55,000 postal workers have lasted months. The latest offer includes wage hikes and plans for 7-day-a-week delivery. The vote will run between July 21st and August 1st. A Quebec-based convenience store chain, Kushtar, pulled its $47 billion U.S. takeover bid for 7-Eleven's parent company. The breakdown described as a lack of persistent good faith engagement. The move shuts down a year-long attempt by Kushtar to create a global convenience store giant of 20,000 locations, merging Circle K and 7-Eleven brands. Many First Nations are fine-tuning their expectations ahead of a key meeting with the Prime Minister tomorrow. The summit was called in a bid to ease concerns about a contentious national projects law that Indigenous stakeholders say fast-tracks major development without their consent. Here's CTV's Rachel Aiello.
First Nations expectations have been set for tomorrow's summit on the Liberal government's contentious major projects law.
This is not consultation. This is a first meeting of many.
Prime Minister Mark Carney organized the meeting after Indigenous stakeholders felt their rights were not respected in the rush to pass Bill C-5 through Parliament. Today, chiefs from across Canada outlined what they hope to get out of the talks.
We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he produces tomorrow.
I'm a bit more cynical. If this is a success, I think it's getting a solid commitment from the Prime Minister of discussions of how free, prior and informed consent will be implemented.
9 Ontario First Nations, though, aren't waiting for new commitments from Carney. They've launched a legal challenge to the federal law and a similar provincial plan to try and block both governments from using their newly passed powers to sidestep existing protections.
Bill 5 and Bill C-5 are pieces of legislation that attempt to bulldoze over First Nation rights and lands.
Today, Carney was asked if the law getting caught up in the courts could jeopardize his goal of getting new projects built.
No.
He went on to say that tomorrow's talks are about engaging on how to implement, rather than amend, his Building Canada Act.
What are the priorities? That's before any consultation on any specific project.
First Nations leaders said today it's not that they're against resource development. They just want to be involved in the approval of new projects. After tomorrow's talks, Carney has plans to convene Inuit and Métis leaders for additional conversations in the coming weeks. Omar?
All right, Rachel, thank you. U.S. President Donald Trump is lashing out at what he calls past supporters over persistent questions about the so-called Epstein files.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net.
Earlier this month, the U.S. Justice Department insisted Epstein did not maintain a client list and said no more files related to the investigation would be made public, despite the Trump administration suggesting more material was going to be revealed. And longtime Justice Department lawyer Maureen Comey, who played a role in the investigation of Epstein and his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell, has been fired. She is the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, who was fired by Donald Trump during his first term. And a tense moment caught on camera as Israel launched airstrikes in Syria. A reporter from Al Jazeera was on air when a strike hit the Syrian's defense ministry in Damascus. The attacks marked an escalation in a campaign Israel claims was intended to push militants away from its border and protect the Druze religious minority. Just days before the world-famous Tomorrowland Music Festival was set to begin in Belgium, a massive fire destroyed the main stage. About 1,000 staff members had to be evacuated. The festival is scheduled to start on Friday. Organizers say the campsite is still set to open tomorrow. How the fire started is unknown. And a wildfire on Newfoundland's Bonavista Peninsula is burning out of control, threatening several communities near Chance Harbour. CTV's Garrett Berry on the firefight and the forecast.
As flames and smoke dance in the distance, it's another anxious evening for Courtney Russell. The Chansco fire is burning about 6 kilometers away from her home in Winterbrook.
I don't know if my heart could be more grateful right now.
Today, air support got to work, slowing the fire's march towards the community.
It's been emotional for everyone the last 2 days, but when I seen those water bombers pitch in our bay this morning, like the gratitude that we all hold for them is just, you just can't really put it into words.
Still, she's been told to get ready in case an evacuation order comes down. Out in the bay, cabin owners got their first looks today at the devastation.
And you're just hearing about watching it. There's not a thing you can do. I mean, the fire went that fast, it just consumed everything, and just here watching it all burn.
There is a bit of good news on the horizon. Forestry officials expect winds to switch tonight, and that should give firefighters in the area a bit of a helping hand. So far, heat and wind haven't been helping. The fire behavior is still too unpredictable to get boots on the ground in some areas. But officials say they're pretty confident communities will stay safe overnight. Gary Perry, CTV News, St. John's.
A string of vehicle thefts has left one neighborhood in Winnipeg shaken. Over the last several days, some residents have woken up to their vehicle being stolen by a tow truck. CTV's Alex Carpa now on the crimes caught on camera and the suspects in custody.
CCTV video captures the moment Tiffany Schritt's vehicle was stolen. A truck can be seen quickly attaching a lift under the hood of her vehicle, and in less than a minute, it's gone.
It's just bizarre.
Schritt says she never thought she'd ever have anything like this happen to her. She says it's taken an emotional toll on her and her husband.
Like all we want is to get our vehicle back. Honestly, that would be the simplest thing. We had a lot of things in the truck, a lot of tools in the truck, a lot of the stuff from the lake in the truck, a lot of personal items. So yeah, it's really, really invasive.
Police have arrested 2 suspects in connection to these thefts and have seized 2 tow trucks used to steal the cars, but didn't release the suspects' names or charges. Tia Sawa was stunned as she watched her car get stolen in the middle of the night.
I was just getting ready to go to an appointment, and then when I walked out, I noticed the van was gone, and then I kind of thought, oh, I could have sworn I parked it there, and I checked the back, it wasn't there, and then I checked the cameras, and sure enough, at about 1:30, someone had taken it.
The investigation into this case remains ongoing, and police did not disclose any motives behind these car thefts, but they did say more information will be released in the coming days. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Coming up.
Construction has never been in this much demand.
What's behind the building boom in Prince Edward Island? Plus, a Canadian tennis star calls it a career. As Canadians face a housing affordability challenge, there's some welcome news on the number of new homes being built. National housing starts have increased 3.6% through the first 6 months of the year compared to 2024. But the situation varied in Canada's biggest cities. Vancouver saw a huge increase driven by multi-unit starts, while both Toronto and Montreal are building fewer homes year over year. When it comes to a building boom, Canada's smallest province is delivering big results. But as CTV's Maria Saru reports, there's some strain behind the surge in PEI.
From the foundation below to the hammers swinging above, every piece plays a part. Construction crews are helping build PEI's economy from the ground up, contributing $580 million to the GDP in 2024.
That's a big chunk of change here in little old PEI. Construction has never been in this much demand ever before in the history of construction, not only in PEI, but right across Canada.
The island's economy grew by 3.6% last year. That's higher than any other province and more than double the national rate of 1.6%. Development and construction were major drivers, with new homes, schools, clinics, and businesses popping up. But rapid population growth is pushing demand and adding pressure. Between 2020 to 2024, PEI gained more than 22,000 residents, outpacing the last 20 years combined. Here in Stratford, one of PEI's fastest growing municipalities, new homes are being built quickly, but not quickly enough to fix the province's housing shortage. Industry leaders say more people aren't the problem. They can be the solution.
Money's never going to fix this problem. It's skilled people and skilled people only.
Across Atlantic Canada, an aging workforce and shortage of tradespeople are driving labor gaps in key sectors. That could get worse with recent federal cuts to immigration streams, according to economic experts.
Anything that we can do to bring young people into Canada to help support those industries will help us in the long run.
The Construction Association of PEI is training students in the trades and stepping up international recruitment in hopes more help is on the way. Maria Saru, CTV News, Stratford, Prince Edward Island.
And still ahead, why this summer fruit suddenly went boom. Watermelons can offer a nice explosion of flavor, but every so often, when it's hot outside, something strange happens. This watermelon exploded hours after it was brought home from a Montreal grocery store.
Sugar gets converted into gas inside the watermelon when it gets really, really hot, especially in the summer.
Some experts say because the peel is thick and air pressure tight, pressure can quickly build up. A groundbreaking Canadian star is hanging up her tennis shoes. Eugénie Bouchard is set to call it a career after the National Bank Open in her hometown of Montreal.
Around the world, showered her with gifts.
Bouchard reached number 5 in the world in 2014. That year, she won a singles tournament and reached the Wimbledon final, becoming the first Canadian woman to reach a Grand Slam final in decades. Bouchard's star continued to grow as she gained millions of social media followers and multiple high-profile endorsements. Still ahead, how an NHL team turned up the heat and dished out spicy trash talk. The NHL released its schedule today for the next season, and as part of a saucy social media stunt, the Buffalo Sabres took some shots that hit a few Canadian teams pretty hard. The city that created the Buffalo Wing assigned each of their opponents a flavor, and as CTV's Tyler Fleming tells us, it's left some fans feeling, well, a little sour.
Most will call the past season of the Ottawa Senators hot.
Big Karaman's Verhage!
But the Buffalo Sabres serving up their thoughts on NHL teams as chicken wing sauces.
That one tastes like rat. Damn fine rat.
Montreal, steamy in a hot dog bun. Toronto, choking hazard. And coming up with this half-baked remark for the Sens, plain.
Barbecue?
Plain. No sauce.
No sauce?
So what am I supposed to say to that?
Not sure, but Ottawans feel it's a bit of a double burn.
Ottawa's got a little bit of a reputation for being a little bland, a little plain, maybe sometimes untrue.
There's nothing plain about Ottawa. I'm tired of that saying.
And the Sens, well, they're not Joe average team.
There you go.
At Lieutenant's Pump on Half-Price Wing Day, Sens fans Alan and Chantel cooked up more appropriate flavors.
We'd have to call it, this is our year.
We're eating lemon pepper. There's zingers.
Like the Sens and its fans who kept in Brady Tkachuk notes.
They know how important they are. They know how much juice they give us.
Juice for sizzling those wins.
I feel sorry for Buffalo.
But soy sauce doesn't cut it. How about these saucy sleighs for the Sabres? Cupless heat, all burn, no reward, or regret ranch pairs well with missed playoff chances. And how about mild success? It's just there. Spartacat had some heat-packed ideas on it too. Whatever the flavor,
Barbecue would be the sauce.
There's nothing plain about the Sens.
Because this is the flavor we want, and we're going to win next year.
Tyler Fleming, CTV News.
Feeling hungry all of a sudden. That's a snapshot of this Wednesday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night, and see you tomorrow.
CTV National News, Canada's #1 newscast.